Here in between South America and Africa there are Atlantic Ocean and remaining portion are Pacific Ocean. As we know that the globe is in the shape of a sphere, and that is how the earth is as well. So you can see that the Pacific Ocean is here and the Pacific Ocean is here. It just because it is basically a sphere, and we are looking at just one view of the sphere to locate or to understand the location of the various continents. Let's locate India more precisely. If you look at the world map, you can see that India is located in the northern hemisphere. What do you mean by the northern hemisphere? So, entire earth is more or less in the shape of a sphere. Okay? So, we have an imaginary line running exactly at the center of the sphere. Just think you have a ball and cut it into the two equal parts. Okay, then you will get the two hemisphere, right? The same thing happens. This is the imaginary line which is equator, and it divides the sphere into the two parts, northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. And obviously India is located in the upper part, so it is the it is in the northern hemisphere. Now, equator is located in such a way that is equal distance from the poles. So, what is pole? The extreme up is the north pole and the extreme down is the south pole. Now, why do we say that equator is an imaginary line? So, not only the equator. We will also talk about imaginary lines, other imaginary lines. But why do we need these types of imaginary lines? The question is risen, why do we need these types of imaginary lines when in reality none of them exist? So, if we do not have base, then it becomes very difficult to specify the location of various continent and countries to respect to each other. To make things simpler on the map, we have the concept of certain imaginary line. So, equator is one such imaginary line, and now then we will see there are other imaginary lines which is locate on the earth place. One such one or locate place on earth, one such lines are latitudes. These are not the lines, these are the imaginary circle. As you already studied in the lower classes about the latitude and the longitudes, but there are a quick review of this concept. The equator is on the 0 degree, and when we move upward it measures in the degree in north, and when move downward it measures in the degree in south. So At the pole, the at the north pole, this is the 90 degree north, and the south, in the south, these are 90 degree at the south, and equator is on the 0 degree. So, how many? What are the numbers of the latitudes? So, total numbers of the latitudes are 181. So, as the equator is a horizontal line, we have the same concept on the vertical, which is the prime meridian, known as the prime meridian, and it is from the south pole to the north pole, and it is also on the, when we talk about the prime meridian, it is the 0 degree. These are the longitudes. As you seen in the mass, you have the on the graph, you have the x-axis and the y-axis, same as it in the earth. The equator is, the latitudes are in the x-axis, or the longitudes and the prime meridian are the y-axis.